This is the Oklahoma Talking Company.
Welcome to Activate Your Strengths with Rhonda Boyle. StrengthsFinder 2.0 is an analytical assessment created by Gallup Corporation, and many people today are using it to change their lives, improve their relationships, and enhance their work experience. This is the podcast where we explore using your natural talents and gifts in your personal and professional development. And now, here's your host, Rhonda Boyle.
Hey. Welcome, everybody. This is the Activate Your Strengths show, and I am your host, Rhonda Boyle. I'm here in the studio at Oklahoma Talking Co. And Jason Baffrey, I am excited about our guest this morning.
Yeah, Rhonda, I'm excited too. And this is our first time to broadcast live on Periscope. If you're listening to the podcast, you missed the live show. But you'll be able to start seeing us on Periscope on the day we record. And then listen to the entire podcast here on Oklahoma Talking Co.
I know, that's exciting changes. So anyway, I am pumped to introduce our guest today. He is a fabulous young man that I've been working with, probably for about a year now, maybe?
Yeah, a little over a year, actually.
Yeah, and he was born and raised right here in Oklahoma. He has a lovely wife. Her name is Miranda, and they have 3 children, 2 boys, Ezra and Elijah. And guess what, Jason? They have a brand new baby girl named Emery, and she is so awesome. I love holding her.
My little princess.
I know.
That is awesome.
I know. He is the owner.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. He's
Thank you.
awake. We're glad to have him here. Anyway, he is the owner of Oklahoma Flooring and Construction Innovations. He lives right here in Oklahoma City in the Village. Welcome, Mr. Dalton Fashik.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Glad to have you here today. So we always like to start everybody here at the Activate Your Strengths show. We're talking about StrengthsFinder 2.0, which is the assessment by Gallup Corporation. And we want to know what your top 5 talents are. So tell us what those are.
Well, first is responsibility. Second, I have achiever. And then, beyond that is futuristic, ideation, and belief.
Yeah.
I have found a lot about these. I found out a lot about these with Rhonda and Lee and going through Activate Your Strengths. And I'm looking forward to talking a little bit more about it.
I know, it's amazing work, isn't it? A lot of people don't really know how deep they can go with the test. They take it through their work or something, and it just never goes beyond that. So we have had a great opportunity to work together in taking it deeper and helping you learn more about yourself. Just to remind our audience, there are 34 talents in the StrengthsFinder assessment, and your dominance, again, is responsibility, achiever, futuristic, ideation, and belief. Now, let me ask you this. When you took the test, and I know we've talked about a lot of people had mentioned it to you before, but when you took it, what did you think? When you got those 5 words back, I don't know. What'd you think?
Well, I knew there had to be some truth in it because I seen a lot of the things, the Gallup gives you a lot of tools when you take the test first. So if you take the assessment, I encourage you print off all the stuff that the Gallup gives you because there's a lot of helpful stuff in there. And once I read that, I got a better understanding of what these strengths meant. It wasn't until I went to a basic, until I better understood what Rhonda and Lee were trying to tell me. But the actual the description that Gallup gave me resonated with me with all the talents. So I said, there's got to be something here.
Yeah, right. And I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people don't even know about the reports that are available at the Gallup Strengths Center, which is exactly where you take the test. You can go out and print very detailed, and they're customized reports that tell you exactly how your talents work together. Now, on the show here, what we do is we break those talents apart so we can look at them, but you never use them in isolation. Very rarely do you. You're always combining talents and so forth. But just for the sake of learning about them, that's what we do. That's why you have your top 5 so you can memorize them and so forth. But your first one is responsibility. So
yes,
let me
just
remind people that people who are high in responsibility, they honor their word. I mean, your word is your bond, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and the other thing too is with each talent comes a need. And with responsibility, you have a need for control, don't you?
Well,
Just
yeah.
a little. So tell us how responsibility looks in your life.
Well, it has a lot to do with my life. It's had a lot to do with what's driven me, and it has a lot to do with coming up at such a young age. Just taking on life at such a young age. My wife and I, in the beginning, we were still in high school when we had our first child, and I immediately took responsibility for what was going on. We had a child, we were still in high school, and I knew that I had to take care of this family.
Right.
So before Gallup, before I got plugged in, when I was still a kid, but I was 18, I knew that I had to take care of my family, number one.
Right.
So I did.
So how did that inform, or how did that influence your decision? What did you do? Tell us what you did.
Well, I dropped out, got my GED the next week. I didn't waste any time. I went to work. I worked on the Devon Tower. Worked on Sand Ridge Tower. Did various Chesapeake projects and stuff.
Immediately, you went into construction.
Yes, immediately, and because I had a construction pass actually in high school, I did home remodeling on the side for myself. So. It was kind of something I've always been in. My father was a mechanic in the construction trade, but I didn't see myself going there. But God has a plan, so I just went with it.
There you
so
go.
I took responsibility for my family and my future. Mainly, I knew I had to take responsibility for our entire future.
Right.
Because I was the man of the home, and I know that there was duties.
Right, duties.
Yes.
Well, and you said when we talked before that at home it was important for you to be a good provider.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel so strongly about providing, making sure that the needs are taken care of. The wants, not necessarily, doesn't always happen. We all know how that works.
Yes.
But I wanted to make sure that we did not go without, and been blessed. We've had a little bit of help along the ways, but for the most part, we've had to crawl our way up and wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, it's taught you a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So, we talked about, and I know that I have permission to share this. Our talents probably, well, they're developed at a very young age. Probably birth to 6 or 7 is when we actually, they're not set in stone, but they're really, the foundations are set at a very young age. And so we talked about how you got your responsibility probably is because you saw a lack of responsibility as a kid. Is that, am I remembering that?
Yeah, in my home, I'll just say, I was raised in a broken home, and there's a lot of those stories out there, and my heart goes out to them because I have a heart for them, and that's, a lot of this is going to lead to that. We'll get to that in a little bit, but
Sure.
that responsibility to take charge of that, I just had to do something about it.
Yeah.
I felt responsible.
Sure. Okay, well, cool. Now let's take your number 2 talent.
Okay.
And that's achiever. And boy, are you ever an achiever. I know this
Absolutely.
about you. So tell us, there have been books written about people who are achievers, right?
Oh, yeah?
Like you're a type A personality. If you don't slow down, you're going to have a heart attack.
Oh, no.
It's just constantly you're driven and so forth. But you know what? You like to work.
Yeah, I like to do things. I've got to be doing motorcycles, construction, production, being productive in the community, just
Sure.
anything that's getting something done. Let's do it.
Right. Yeah, it is all about being busy and productive. You really like that. And so sitting on the couch, watching TV and...
Yeah. About the only thing that I can do that really requires me to sit still is playing chess, and even then, I'm still all over the place.
I can imagine. So now, those of you who have achiever real high, you keep yourself moving forward by your little checklists.
Absolutely.
You know what I like to say, and I can say it now because it's almost Christmas, but Santa Claus was an achiever. I'm certain of it, right? Because look, he delivered all those packages in 24 hours, and he had his list, and he checked it twice, right? So how do you keep your list going? I mean, what kind of lists do you have?
Well, let's talk about a couple of them, actually. I got the sticky notes that are the do it nows and the I kind of dip in to Ideation, which is the next talent, but we're not going to get there yet. But, I get these ideas and I write them down, and then those turn into a list of things that I need to pursue and maybe do some research on. But I carry around, and actually I have it here in the studio with me. I carry around the notebook with me at all times. Never know when I need to write something down. And
you have your notebook, you said, like in your back pocket.
Yes.
Oh, I see. Look.
It stays in my back pockets. It's even molded to the shape of my butt.
That is funny.
So I make a list and I keep it with me, and I have the bigger list at the office, of course. But I've got to have these lists, to keep me going. And at the end of the day, when I see them checked off, it gives me a sense that I achieved for the day. And sometimes I will set down, stringent guidelines about how many things that I achieve in a day, because sometimes doing too much can put a little stress on you, or not doing enough will actually depress me. So I'll have to, continue to find balance there, but I don't know if there really is a balance, Rhonda. Is there?
I don't know. I haven't found it. Well, but you know what? You bring up a very good point, and that is people with Achiever, if they don't hit everything on their checklist at night, by the time they go to bed, what happens?
Well, I consider it an extra the next day. So I'm like, great, I already have my list for tomorrow, plus the things I didn't do today.
Well, but do you toss and turn worrying about that you didn't get it done, or?
Oh, yeah. It's that, it's not that I'm a failure. It's that there's the possibility that did I fail myself because I didn't get this gazillion things done today,
Right.
And then also, with Ideation kind of creeping in there a little bit, trying to sleep as well with that, I get these ideas going bing, bing, bing all the time. But that's why I carry the notebook and make my list and keep it with me.
Well, your responsibility is the first talent that you have is very quick to volunteer to take out, because you got to have control of things. So you're going to take on more than a lot of people. And because of that, I bet that increases your checklist.
Oh, absolutely. I have seen it in action, actually, as I'm writing it down. I'm like, I love people, and I love to help people. And somebody's like, can you help? I'm like, yes, but I don't have the time. Okay, I'm going to do it anyways.
You're going to add it to your checklist.
Yes.
And is that how it works? You kind of add things all day long?
I have mental checklist. I have the paper checklist. I have the sticky notes. So, yeah, all day long. I've got lists all over, and I'm just continuously checking things off and
right.
Just staying moving. I'm 25, and I want to be retired by 40, so the only way to get there is to continue doing what I'm doing.
That's right. But you get great satisfaction going,
yep.
Checking that checklist off. It brings you satisfaction because you got it done.
Absolutely.
Right? Cool. All right, so let's talk about your number 3 talent, and that is futuristic.
Ooh.
You love that one about you, don't you?
Yes.
Well, it's a rare talent. There are only 11%. And by the way, Gallup Corporation tripped over 13 million people now have taken this test. It happened last weekend. So
I
we were
heard
like,
that.
I know. I was like cheering, yay! So, yeah.
I want to know how many's from Oklahoma.
Oh, I don't
we
know.
are on OklahomaTalking.co, so, I would like to know how many of us have stormed Gallup.
I don't know.
To say.
I don't know. We have certainly created a movement here. But 11%, you know what that means? That 89 out of every 100 people that you talk to, they think you have fallen off the watermelon truck with your big, crazy visions.
Well, that explains the eyes I've gotten over the years and the expressions.
It does. It does. Now, you said that you have very vivid pictures of things in the future that you can actually almost touch them.
Yeah, it's some of them are very vivid that I actually see myself and possibly even see myself maybe aged a little bit while looking at this. But sometimes it's like a movie clip.
Well, wait a minute. So you see yourself like looking through your eyes at the movie clip, or you actually see yourself physically in the movie clip?
Well, I will see myself, but then I'll get snippets of what it might look like based on movies that I have seen. It kind of makes it more real of a vivid vision.
Sure.
But sometimes it's just a pure vision, and I can see it clear as day what it's going to look like. And with my two boys, I had asked God, I wanted 2 boys. My wife and I, growing up, when we were young, we had our first boy. It's like, I want another boy. I want 2 boys. I have a motocross background. I was like, let's race motorcycles. Teach them how to race. Just go down that route with them and see if they like it or not. There's a story behind that as well, as he broke his arm. But
oh no.
Catch me up.
So No, go ahead.
Catch me out.
Okay, so you saw your two boys.
Yeah.
Like you had a vision of them. And then you saw what? A daughter.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Later on, I got the urge, I seen that we were going to have a daughter, I didn't, know what she looked like, but I just seen a daughter. I had a dream, and, just after it happening with my boys, I was like, I want to try for another child, and I want to have a daughter. I want a baby's girl. I watched my brother.
Yeah. Miranda was like, okay, what if we don't have a girl?
We have 3 boys, and I'm like, I'm okay with that too. Our house might be torn apart, but that's okay.
But you actually saw a daughter.
Yes, absolutely.
In like a vision of some kind.
Yes.
So, you mentioned that you see white sometimes in your visions and that it brings you like a calm assurance. Yeah,
the calm assurance, from the way I put it, is like a heavenly type feeling. It's a calm vibe. It brings me peace when I see it because I know it's something good. I don't really get any visions for bad things, and I've had people say you don't really pay attention to the problems that may be out there. I'm saying, well, I don't consider myself a pessimist, so
right.
I try to be as optimistic as I can, and I think that just naturally shows up when it comes to that.
Now, have people stolen your dreams throughout the years? I mean, when you talk, I think this is a common issue for people with futuristic, is that they're talking about these things that they see way in the future, and people look at them like, crazy. Have you had that experience where they've naysayed your dreams?
Oh, absolutely. And I still try to find, when I talk to other futuristics is really the only time that I get like a 100% connection about what's going on, and they understand the depth behind what we're talking about. And, I'll mention somebody, Kat Rather, we had a conversation one day that was just 2 futuristics going at it. And it was amazing because something came out of it. She met with somebody, and then, she just started running with it, and
wow.
It was great. And,
well, now you may not necessarily see the same vision, but you have a respect for one another that you're not crazy.
Exactly, yeah. And other people, I'm like, I'm going to do this in 20 years, or this is where I'm going to be in 5 or 10 years. And it goes back, context is not my top 5, but it kind of makes, context has to do with what has happened before. So I'm like, well, this happened before, and I seen it, so I'm like, my daughter, I had her, and I seen that.
Right.
So like all these other things that have happened that I wanted to come true have been coming true. My company was one of those things as well.
Sure, you saw that very vividly.
Yes, I did.
I think we were working together when you saw that vision for that company.
Yeah, I was actually still with my old business partner at the time, and have since started my own entity, and I kept my old entity as well out in Shawnee, but I have started my Oklahoma City market, and I love it because it's so much more fast paced here, and
yeah. Than out in the country.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well, now, here's a common problem for people with futuristic is that you can kind of neglect the now because you're thinking 5, 10, 20 years in advance. So you like to kind of live there sometimes.
Guilty.
How do you bring yourself now?
Well, since people know I'm futuristic, and people who understand what it is, they'll sometimes help bring me back. But I ultimately have to realize sometimes, hey, there is that future there, but in order to get to the future, I've got to focus on the now too.
Right.
And
well, that your achiever must help you with that. Your checklist. You go back to your trusty checklist. Oh no, I've got things to get done.
And when I see the fact that I've gone so far out with my visions being futuristic, I have visions constantly, and I'm constantly thinking of things and where I want to be in the future.
Right.
But I'm like, I'm driving right now on the highway. I don't want to smash in the back of this car. So let's think about this right now and stop daydreaming about the future.
Yeah, right. Now, do you have dreams about other people, like for other people?
I have had dreams before. This was when I was younger, mainly. I would say probably in my teens, I had a lot of dreams and stuff. This is also my family. My mother had a lot of dreams, and a lot of came true. Actually, my father's death, my mom seen years before.
Wow.
And she didn't know it was him, though. She just had seen a casket, that was the same color, baby blue.
Uh-oh.
And when it happened, my mom had, what people would call deja vu.
She tied those pieces together.
Yeah, and it's just like, I see it. I wonder what my mom's top 5 are.
Oh, wow. Well, we'll have to get her tested, won't we?
Yes, we will.
So now your number 4 talent is ideation. And so tell us about that. Ideation, the futuristic is very definitely in the future, but ideation is in the now. And it's sort of like popcorn brain. That's how it's my number one. So I feel you now,
Yes.
But we've got so many ideas just popping constantly. How does that look for you?
Well, for me, ideation, let's start out by saying I know that Rhonda she just said that she has this talent high as well. And for her to empathize with me,
yes.
if you want to call it that. It's great because this talent is one of those very struggling talents for me because, it'll keep me up at night because I think about how I can conquer the world while I'm in my bed, and then I have to get out of bed to go write it down, or I got to get out of bed to get on the internet and research, or I'm researching on my phone, just something
Sure.
because these ideas are coming. I'm like, I can't let this idea die. But there is the ideas where I'm like, could this work? Would this work? Might be a bad idea. Who knows? Let's decipher this before activating on anything and going forward. But this talent can keep me up at night. Definitely.
I know. I have trouble sleeping
night.
too. Yeah, because it's just as we get settled in at night, then bing, here we go. We have an idea.
And what's funny is actually I believe we have bounced our ideation off each other at night before.
I know, over Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook or midnight. There's a
Yes.
text message and we're like, oh, there's an idea. Oh, okay, yeah. So bounce it back and forth.
I
And
know. And we're great in a brainstorming session. I think you mentioned to me you really want to write a book with your ideas.
Yeah, because I feel like, maybe they might not be geared towards me, but maybe it'll help somebody else.
Exactly.
My theory is if you have it, share it, because
Yeah.
even if it doesn't help you, what if it helps somebody else?
That's right. And I think you told me that you had to sometimes pull off the road because you get an idea and you got to write it down.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like if I'm driving down the highway, I drive a lot, because I meet clients throughout the day, all the time. I'm networking, meeting people. So I'm driving a lot, and sometimes I will have to pull off the road because I need to write down a paragraph. I can't just write down a little note. I need to write down a
Right.
paragraph that's in my head. So I will sometimes even pull over off the side of the road because I know that I'm not going to sit and try to write this because I might end up in a wreck. So
Sure.
let's be smart about this pullover. But doesn't happen all the time, but I do have to harness it.
Right. You do. Because, there's not really any harnessing. It's a matter of just not documenting because the ideas can't be stopped. It's like they're constant.
Yes.
Aren't they? I feel your pain. But it's fun, too, because we do bring creativity and new ideas, fresh ideas, and a fresh perspective when we're working with people, especially. So let's talk now about your belief. People with belief have hard and fast inner core values. There's just no change in them.
This is my favorite one. Actually.
This is your favorite one. Why is it your favorite? Tell me.
Well, because to start off first, I am a follower of Christ, and that's where everything roots from. That's the reason why I do everything I do.
Right.
I believe what I'm doing is a conduit for something in the future large. Don't have enough time to talk about that today, but if you'd like to know, maybe we can meet up and have coffee.
That's another idea in your futuristic, right? Yep. So you mentioned that you work with purpose, not just for a paycheck.
Yeah, and I've never really put it into words until Andrea Choate. She actually said that to me, or I heard that from her in a text, or we were talking one day. We work with purpose, not for a paycheck, and that resonated with me so well. And I was like,
It's true.
That's me. That makes so much sense. I've never, worded it that way. Mm-hmm. But if I'm just making money, monetary gain to me is shallow, and for me, I seek joy, not just happiness, because
Right.
everybody loves money. Let's say not love, but everybody likes money.
Sure. Well, we need it. It makes the world go round.
Yeah. So, but I get more satisfaction out of purpose, something coming of it, for the greater good. If
Right.
if something for the greater good is not going to come of it, I'm like, well, what was the purpose of that?
Sure. Well, just real quickly to remind everybody, the talent of belief does not mean religious. You've mentioned it in the context of your faith, which is many, many people have that.
Yeah.
But not necessarily. I mean, and you can be from other faiths other than Christianity and still have belief. Belief just means inner core values. And there are things like high ethics, family is very important to people with belief. High morality, like you would never steal anything from anybody, would you?
No, but
What would happen?
Oh man, I would lose sleep. Same thing with lying. I could not deal with myself. I would have to eventually come clean because I like black and white. So that's a gray area to me. And we'll talk about an instance as a kid. I shoplifted as a kid, and the feeling that I got when I did that, was just
horrific.
Oh, I never want to feel that feeling again. So stealing and theft is just something that I can't wrap my brain around. It's not me. It's
Right.
not within me. And
You mentioned that telling a lie would absolutely eat you alive.
oh, and yeah, it's happened before. I'm just
Sure.
I get to the point where I'm just like, I have to tell you, and they're like, that's not even that big of a deal. I'm like, I know, but I had to tell somebody.
You have to fess up, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it's good though, but then again, it may make me vulnerable, but I've learned that being vulnerable is a good thing.
It is, isn't it? It is. So, yeah, that belief, one of the pitfalls of belief, or we call it the outhouse because, people stink when they get in the outhouse, right, is that you can be judgmental if other people don't have the same beliefs as you. But you've kind of learned a lot.
I have definitely seen that. Over the years, I have been accused a few times of being judgmental, and I didn't think I was being judgmental. I was, I thought I was offering advice, to help them,
Sure.
And
it goes back to that black and white. You see, and you said that gray stresses you out.
Oh yeah, it just takes me to the max. I will fight to get that gray gone as soon as I can.
But I think you've learned that a lot of people see gray.
No, there's lots of gray.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So I guess, that to me is a great benefit of StrengthsFinder is that, I like to say that we're always looking out of our own eyeballs, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just can't get away from try looking out of somebody else's eyes. It's just not, you can't do it.
There's no way, no. We don't,
Right.
We don't know what's going on in there.
That's right. But StrengthsFinder gives us this common language that we can then at least accept other people. We may not understand them. You won't understand somebody who doesn't have belief high, but you can at least accept that that's where they are.
Yeah.
And it really makes a lot of sense and keeps a lot of peace. So let me ask you this final question because we're about at the end of our time together. If you could give somebody one piece of advice, somebody takes this test brand new, they take it today, what is one thing that you would tell them?
I would say, since I've been involved with it and I have gone through various stages of Activate Your Strengths, stick with it. If you've been wanting to do Strength Finders for a while, I've heard a lot of people say, I've taken the assessment, I just haven't done anything. You are missing out. I have discovered so much about myself. It's done so many things for me. And I'm not even going to necessarily say, lucratively, but just personal growth-wise in my
and your wife
family.
too.
Yeah. We had a class recently, that was fantastic and got to know some incredible people. And out of it, came a lot of new friends who helped me be accountable to be a better husband and father. And it's been a fantastic ride. And after taking I think 4 basics and then going to an intensive and then LBT, just going through all of it, I've seen the value that it created from start to finish.
Sure.
And it was a while between the time that I took my assessment actually got plugged in. But once I got plugged in, and I was plugged in for sure, and I stayed plugged in.
Right.
I just seen it go through the roof, and I'm just like, So,
and you have to stay plugged in. It builds community, and
Yeah.
community is built on language. So if if you're alone out there and you don't have community, you don't have, this at your work, or you don't have a community you can plug into, then you just create one.
we are all armed wide open.
There you go. But you can create community like in your family, for example. Get them tested and so forth. So I think that's great advice to get people plugged in. Well, let's wrap up here today. And how about telling us how we can reach you?
Well, you can reach me on Facebook, of course, Dalton Fashik, last name Fashik.
Yep.
Also, Oklahoma Flooring and Constructions on Facebook. There's a website, ofciinc.com. It's a lot shorter than the mouthful of a company I have. So, but also, there's going to be a trend being started today, actually. Hashtag Dalton Fashik. So
There we go.
If you want to start start that. We can go from there, and I'm going to start posting stuff along that, and that's going to be something to follow and just keep an eye on, and more will come in the future.
Futuristic for you, for sure. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you being here, and we thank our audience, too, and the people on Periscope watching us. We're glad to have you. And so you can find me at Activate Your Strengths on Facebook or www.activateyourstrengths.com. Also can be found on Twitter at Activate Strong and right here on Periscope at Activate Me. Thank you so much for joining us today, and go out and live in your strengths and your passion. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Activate Your Strengths with Rhonda Boyle is a presentation of Oklahoma Talking Company. Learn more and listen to other great programs at oklahomatalking.co. This has been a production of Destiny Creative.